Good morning, friends, gamers, interwebs.
Good morning.
I'm Rachael Blaske,
And I'm Julie Ahern.
And this is episode 7. 7. I'm gonna keep working on all of and you're invited. And in this episode, Julie, VP and COO of Greenbrier Games, and myself, owner of Poketto, formerly known as 524 Labs, will chat over a good cup of coffee. And my joke this morning is that I have enough coffee to wake the dead. Talking about tabletop industry news and a topic that we feel is important in running a board game company. And we're going to discuss your comments and questions in the live chat because you're invited. So I am excited to see everybody this morning. Julie, are you awake?
About 5 more cups of coffee and I'll be ready to slay.
Excellent. Slay. I see what you did there. You slay. I get it. Oh, man. This is a punny episode, peeps. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I should do something that I'm supposed to be doing right now. Okay, here we go. What do we have right here? Miss Julie, what's this thing?
Well, this episode is brought to you by Arcane Wonders, they're on Kickstarter right now with Freedom 5, Sentinels comic board game. And this game is in both the Sentinels of the Multiverse and Defenders of the Realm series. And right now they are funded at over 400% and going strong. So
yay!
Thank you to them.
That is awesome. And did you know that we ask a question on Instagram and Facebook every Monday to give you a chance to win a game? And last week, Susie Dancer won the Secret Neighbor party game from Arcane Wonders.
That's right.
And right now, you have one more chance. One more chance to enter by sharing this stream right now. And any shares in the first 5 minutes will have another entry to win Cinder. And we're even going to give you a further call to action by giving you 10 seconds while we get ready for the news to go and do it now. And there we go.
Did it.
Yes.
So, today in tabletop news, we're talking about Spiel Digital. So, we've talked already about online conventions, but this is a big one, folks. It's also the one that usually, at least for publishers in the United States, this and Nuremberg Toy Fair are the two big ones that if you can make it to those to have a presence in Europe, that's a big deal. And I think a lot of people at this point in the year, having now spent an entire convention season going to online conventions, are trepidatious about going, and because the purpose is to have this presence in Europe. And so do we actually do that digitally? Is it any different than what we're doing regardless? So I'm excited to see what comes out of it, to hear what people's experiences are. But I'm also rather skeptical at this point in the year. However, I'm getting some great posts of years past on my social media, and I hope everybody out there is too. And
it was supposed to be my first one.
I'm so sorry.
I know. Apparently, there is currywurst that I am missing out on.
Currywurst and the spiral potatoes. Yeah, food is amazing. The
Amsterdam. Yeah, I was all
going to Amsterdam
down.
before or after. Going to visit the other toy stores in the area locally. It's a whole thing.
It will happen.
And
it's in my future.
This year it is not. So
it's like Spiel can't instead of Jen can't.
Correct. So I'm.
Oh wow!
I was too sad to look at any other news. We'll get to more next week. I'm sure I'll be actually loaded down because of that. So moving on,
fair.
though.
Oh, and Allison has a point here. You need more coffee. She needs more coffee before you start saying trepidatious.
I am who I am.
And we even have Chris Leader here hanging out with us this morning, being a happy coffee drinker, and don't be
And
a depresso.
also full of the puns.
We are punny today. Oh, and Chris apparently makes currywurst. Oh, he's always trying to get me to go over there. There's Amy. I have coffee with her next week. I'm excited.
Morning, Amy.
Oh, and this is my spirit animal right here. Blah, 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 pre-coffee thoughts. Awesome. So, what are we going to talk about? Oh, so if you're new, because we actually have some new people here this morning. I'm excited.
I know. That's fantastic. I hope John D made it. So, John, yes, it was going to be your first Essen, and I'm sorry, but it is your first. You're invited.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Consolation prize.
Yeah, we're better than Spiel. Wait, no. Okay.
But we're going to do our best. So, yeah, I'm sorry. You were saying.
We are going to inform you that if this is your first time, or if you haven't done this yet, you can click the 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner of this window, and you can choose to be notified every time we go live. And we also have a link to our YouTube account in the description box below so that you can subscribe and find the archived shows after streaming. So we've been trying to push that a little bit because there's a lot of people who can't make the lives, and it's always there, folks. You can watch it here and watch the everything else. Oh my gosh. So we have a question for you, and we asked it a whale. We're talking about whales now. A ways back. Shut up. We asked this on Monday, and it was a little quiet. So when I say what gems have you found, we're talking about favorite resources this week. And favorite resources is a very broad topic because there are so many ways to use resources and find them and everything. And so we're going to talk about the ones that we have found and found incredibly vital and to the success that we've had in the industry. And we would love for you to flood the comments with things that we don't know about. I mean, is there a website that, James Matthew was a pioneer and did amazing work in the blog world for teaching. And the thing is that we have an ever-changing landscape, and we need people who are able to continue in this type of mentoring that we have in our community. I love the community that we have and how open it is to helping people. And so we will come back to the comments after and see what you guys have had to share. But I know, Julie, you found some good stuff about playtesting.
So yes, when we say what resources do you use, for us, we've talked a lot about technology resources, and we've talked a lot about physical, tools that we have. So resources at this point is also what people do you rely on when you are a small business and you can't hire you can't be a company of 50 plus. So what do you do? And so my first topic was, in fact, playtesting. And there's a couple different ways to go about playtesting, because sometimes you're playtesting for fine tuning, and sometimes you're playtesting for checking for understanding. So in my mind, when you're doing a lot of fine tuning, or not a lot of fine tuning, when you're doing the chainsaw editing, this is gone, try this, nope, that's gone, try this. You don't want a lot of outside influence at that point. It probably should be a small group of people who know your games, who play them, and cultivating that is imperative, but it's also a little bit difficult. So, in most years, I say find people at conventions who are demoing your games or coming up and asking to play a lot. And what I would do is, when they signed up for the newsletter and they started talking to me about my games, and I could just see how much they seemed to really love what I was doing, I would draw a little unicorn next to their email and then send them a private thank you and invite them to play test.
A unicorn.
Some people do stars, some people like
Stars,
that.
hearts.
I was like, nope, this is somebody who I would like to tap to see if they are interested in playtesting, because they really, they know my game better than me. Now this year, that's a lot harder. But having developed that, I've been able to rely on it. But I keep it a small group because I need the turnaround to be really fast. Then I bring it out to a bigger selection of people when it's at the point where it's a fine tuning, and it's more of a, do they understand the rule book without me being there to explain it to them? When they played it, was it, how seamless or how painful was it? And then regardless of that, did they have fun? Because at that point, if they're not having fun, we're having problems. So I have like two very distinct tiers, as it were. And both of them I've developed over time, but by going to conventions, going to game stores, going to unpubs, finding other designers, finding people who are just enjoy playing games. I will say it's a lot more difficult in this day and right now to do that. However, I did put in the link some of the resources of online design groups and meetups that happen, some virtually, still some in some parts of the country that are, meeting still in public, whatever your comfort level is. So there are places where you can reach out and start by going to the weekly game meetup. And, you play my game, I play your game, make sure you share.
Absolutely.
So that's my quick, and I feel like this is going to be a full session of our episode later down the line.
Yes, I think we're going to go over it in detail. My contribution to this topic has, everybody knows that I am a connector, I'm a networker, I love to talk to people and know everyone, but that was not always the case. I did not always know everyone, and when I first started, there was a very specific someone that I met. I started delving into the different Facebook groups and learning kind of the lay of the land and everything. And one of those that I really found a lot of good information that has already been mentioned in the chat right now is Tabletop Backer Party. Dan Zayas is an incredibly enthusiastic and active individual that is constantly thinking outside of the box when it comes to progressing the industry. And at the time that I came on, he had just came on, like I came online or whatever, showed up. I showed up.
Did you Deb? Were you a Deb?
I have no idea. I don't even know. It was all blur. I showed up, and he was just in the process of launching a mentoring program, because the groups that Facebook software was doing at the time was encouraging groups to do mentorship. And I signed up because I was taking over a lot of the behind the scenes at 524 Labs at the time, and Justin was running it. And I am his wife. I don't want to ask him every single thing about work all day long while he's also trying to work his full-time job at a software company. And I just wanted to kind of have my own space to learn. And so I signed up to participate. Now, I don't put a whole lot of thought into seriousness most of the time. And so when I chose because it was somebody who lived in a town I used to live in, and I thought that was crazy. And I was like, oh my gosh, nobody lives in Kingman, Arizona. Why on earth do you live in Kingman, Arizona? This is crazy. So I reached out to the person who had said that he would be a mentor, and his name was Clinton Morris, who is in the chat this morning, because I was like, hey, guess what? I'm talking about you today. You should come. And if you guys don't know Clinton, he is a game designer. He's got lots of games, but most recently was published on Kickstarter by Colossal with Hunt the Ravager. And the idea for tabletop backer parties mentorship was really, really about Kickstarter. And yes, I learned a lot about Kickstarter, but more importantly, what I felt like Clinton was able to do for me, just getting into the industry, is to teach me the industry. He had seen kind of just the dynamic. He knew who people were and what they were good at and what they did, and like just some of the history of it. And I feel like that builds a lot of context around our industry and how to interact within it. And so as we would meet weekly and sit down for an hour, and just, I would come with a few questions and he would say, okay, where do we need to go this week? And he would say, if you're interested in learning this part, like this strategy of a Kickstarter, go check out this Kickstarter that did it already, or something like it, and see if you can tweak it to be a little bit more original, this, your strategy. And man, it was just so eye-opening, and he was so patient with me, and I didn't feel stupid. Like, when you're around a lot of
mentorship that's some key points of being a good mentor, because I feel like a lot of people try to start at mentorship programs, is the consistency of like making sure that you have check-in points, making sure that you are, you do not have to do everything, but so sending it to like, go do your homework and come back and tell me what you think,
Yes.
and let's have a conversation is huge. And also having somebody who's willing to give of themselves and not be, I think also being said in the comments, closed off to giving your information of yourselves, and being able to share that and not be like, well, that's company, that's top secret company information. That's not how you mentor. So all good hallmarks.
It's a trust relationship,
right?
And like we talked about, I'm not there to download everything one time. It requires consistency, and to know that I can ask a question next week, or something to that effect. And Clinton just wrote in here, oh my gosh, I'm totally gonna say, hang on, maybe it's up here. It's learning together to make each other better. And I miss you. And so I just think that it's amazing to have had that relationship. We were able to work on some projects together following. We were always looking out for each other, and it was just really, really cool to go into a place where you didn't know much and start to feel like you had a safe space. Mm-hmm. Now, since then, I've also tried to do that again. So like the first one I wanted to learn about was Kickstarter in the industry. So that's where I started. Well, then I had an interest in learning more about marketing. I joined a marketing mentorship program, but it also was not the right time for me. I was not open in terms, I had too much going on personally and professionally for me to be able to carve out a space each week to go in with an open mind and learn. And it's important to recognize that about yourself. If you're not in a space to be able to take advantage of a mentorship program, be aware of that, because nobody wants their time wasted. And so that one didn't work out, and that's okay. It was nothing bad on him or me. It was just not the right timing, and that was okay. Third, I have recently reached out in the last few weeks, months, maybe, I don't know, blurs day, but
it's been 2 months because we're on episode 7.
Oh, so weird. And that was before that. Wow. Okay, so I wanted to learn about business, like more deeply with different perspectives. That's the other thing. Once you get to a point where you feel like look for other perspectives, because maybe you don't know what you think you know, and maybe there's better ways, and maybe they're gonna, like you said, learning together. So I reached out to Stephen Bonacore, knowing that he had recently retired from Stronghold Games and
So he had all that extra time.
I know. I'm like, dude, I see you. I see you on the beach. Can you give me an hour of your week? and he gave me permission to talk about this. He couldn't come this morning, but he is also really good at rolling with it because a lot of things change really quickly. And I thought I was going to be talking to him about something else, and then something else, like a different situation presented itself, and I still needed good feedback from him on that. And we just have good chats. He gives me, advice. Sometimes I'll push back and be like, well, this was the thinking behind that. What do you think about that? And he's like, well, I think they're both good, depending on like what your audience is and what you're thinking about at the time, and how you want to present. Awesome. I love our chats, and I take notes, and I'm like, okay, I can implement this. This one, I think that I'm on track. This, it was great. So if you guys want to check out where he's at now, he's at doing something called Podfather of Gaming. He has a happy hour every Monday or Sunday at, I don't know, Sundays. If you go to his page, it tells
Sundays and Thursdays. Yeah.
Thursdays.
So,
I know because I'm on.
One of the other things I want to talk about on the other side, the flip side, just to add to this, is that so finding somebody, I think, like finding a mentor, asking people to mentor, especially when it's something that you're like, well, okay, I feel like I'm new and I need somebody to start. And then you were talking about once you've become established, finding people who have different perspectives, different experiences, and expanding your knowledge. All great stuff. On the flip side, Greenbrier Games, we've had, I think, 7 interns at this point. And I don't do it for the free answering emails or the coffee, especially right now. We do it, and it typically ends, like it's students who are in gaming, students who are writers predominantly, and come up with a full program. And part of that is because, again, former teacher, love to teach, love to learn, want to make sure that they're getting something of value in their internship. But also because I find that every time that we intern, I learn something new from each of them, and a totally different perspective. And it's not just a generational thing. It's also just the body of experience of where they're coming from and what they hope to accomplish that I haven't even thought of, that I get as much out of it as they get when they do the internship. So what you were saying, as from the other side, when you're mentoring, there's still a lot of value there, and learning what people who are new to the industry are thinking of and coming up with, and ideas that they have as well.
Right. You've got the wisdom side, and you've got the, like, from experience, and then you've got the new excitement that are, people coming with new ideas. And it's a really amazing synergy that you can create in that type of relationship. And I highly recommend it, especially because is there any colleges that are like, become a tabletop publisher? Yeah, there's some game design ones, but they're what is the
not for publishing per se.
Yeah.
I don't know about publishing at all.
We make this up.
I mean, I actually am wondering if there's a publishing for book publishers as well. That's actually fascinating. And now I have to go do research, but not yet. We have to finish the show. We got to wrap it up before I can go do that.
Right. All right. So, anyways, lots and lots of mentorship stuff.
The other topics that I wanted to talk about resource-wise were freelancing. If you're hiring a freelancer, which again is something that I think a lot of small businesses do, there are some things to be mindful of when you do it to do it properly. So we talked about earlier when we started as a company, we very early on signed contracts because we didn't want the business to get in the way of our friendship. I do the same thing with freelancing, even if it's the tiniest of, I need sketches and it's going to be $45. Yeah. And I do that so that there's never a misconception. So for both the publisher side and the person negotiating, artists, designers, content writers, having a boilerplate contract and making sure that you have your tax forms signed are really important. And again, I have a starting place in the links below for both of those if anybody needs them. What we've done to save us, because again, writing up contracts is expensive. If you're hiring a lawyer, they're not cheap. And finding a good lawyer who understands the nuances of board game publishing or any kind of publishing is kind of hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that you, I think, find a starting point where you have a boilerplate. So again, both sides. So if you're a designer and it's important to you have a good exit clause for how many games are sold in a year or with a duration of time. If you're an artist and you want to retain some of the rights to your art even after it's sold versus not, all of those things can be found in boilerplate, and then have a lawyer, and again on the other side for the publisher, if you do want to retain all the rights to the art in perpetuity, have the boilerplate written out, like get a boilerplate and then say, I want it this way, but with this nuance. And that cuts down on the time of the cost that you have to pay the lawyer. And it's been signed off, like at least blessed by the lawyer, so you know that a lawyer has looked at it. So for both sides in negotiating a contract, I would recommend at least that point. And I'm going to stop there because we spent so much time today already. I feel like I'm going to do a contracts negotiation episode down the line. So I will leave it to that.
Right.
But also for freelancing, there's so many different awesome places that you can look for people and resources online, and some amazing people. So I think I will also make that a separate episode at some point. So I'll stop there.
So many things to go into, for sure.
I know. And I'm going to jump to my top tip or are we going to talk? Yeah. Top tip.
Well, I just want to, go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So top tip
is, so in the theme of having a mentor and, making sure that you find good recommendations, ask your peers for recommendations. If you see art that you like on somebody else's game, it's okay to ask somebody, hey, who did that art? Do you recommend them? And most people in the industry are really good about sharing and promoting. I love my artists. I think they are delightful. I am happy to tell everybody about them so that they continue to get monies doing art. So later on, I can hire them again.
Yes, because they will still be in the industry.
Correct.
They can afford to stay here. Excellent. Mine is research, and then research, because I spent so much time looking and reading and just constantly learning. I went to Brandon the Game Dev. I went to Matthew's stuff. I read through Gabe's stuff at Board Game Design Lab. I read through Jamie's book for crowdfunding. There's tons and tons and tons and tons of research that you can do, and there's a way to learn everything. So especially if you learn who to ask. So that was the thing I wanted to talk about. I'm going to pop back over here so that we can look at the comments, because we had some great ones and I wanted to make sure that we touched on a couple of them. I know one of the things that I really liked that Callie said is that it's interesting how much relevant learning happens outside of the classroom now. There's not a lot of college courses about crowdfunding and Kickstarter. I know that there may be some now, but recently when I taught it at our local college at UNL, that was a business, the entrepreneurship business, like a guest lecture, basically. It was not a standard, like you could do a whole year on Kickstarter. I don't even know. Like there's so many nuances.
Well, there's a lot of nuances, but it's also constantly evolving. So I actually think that might be the challenge of why it's not a course. It's still in a very volatile state of change and what makes it work. And even the legal aspects of it are in flux. So it's tricky.
Very true. Oh, hi, Laszlo. Yes, I do look dead, but I'm getting more alive again. I'm good. And then Adam, where you are here. Nope, that's all right. Wrong thing. I lost Adam. It was up here. Okay, here it is. When you don't know how to do want to know how to do something, start by asking somebody who already did it. So that sounds extremely familiar.
Mm-hmm. When I first started looking at doing our logistics and taking that part over, I actually worked. I mean, it's been 4 years now. This time though of year, I worked for a small company that sells costumes, make handmade costumes on Etsy, and this was their busiest time of year. So I worked and did their shipping for like the month leading up to Halloween when they needed an extra person for minimum wage, and it was terrible and horrible. But man, did I learn a lot about small business shipping,
I know
and how you're going to do it independently.
Elisa Teague talked about how she learned so much about the logistics and of manufacturing and then shipping and all that stuff that she knows about her games now because she was in the fashion industry and did clothing in the same way. And so many transferable skills are part of our industry. So we are going to talk about what we've got going on this week. I'm going to go first because I have exciting news that Poketto is fully funded. They're still going. We added solo mode. It's going to be part of the new, they just did the update, and so that's going to be a big push that will add some hopeful backers there. And directly under me, I'm really excited about this. That is Mint Cooperative, and that is in a box, opened in our warehouse, and I will be doing an unboxing tomorrow because I am so excited to see it. And so tomorrow morning at some point, I'm going to go live and do an unboxing to see. That was one that I was really, really put like my everything into, and I'm going to be real emotional, and I just wanted to be able to share that with everybody, to like the feels when I am able to see the finished little pieces, and I want to do that. I want to share that with you guys. So, Julie.
We got 2 more weeks of talking about it, friends. The Lost Ones still on Kickstarter. But I did want to point out that we have leveled up. We have a couple stretch goals that have been added on. So we are adding more art, and we have our first expansion added. And our next stretch goal is the art book. So everybody who's talked about how pretty the game is, we have the art. Matt Forsyth is our artist, and he did the art for both Lost Ones and of Dreams and Shadows. And we're doing a compilation art book of all of the pieces that he has created for us so far. It's so pretty. I've seen it. I've seen the rough draft. It's so pretty. So that's what we're working on stretch goal wise. And of course, doing a lot of social media. I feel like I've been on the internet way more than I want to be, but
it's called
gonna keep doing it until we get to that level. So that's what's happening in Lost Ones.
Love it. And our shout out for this week, we have Adam McCrimmon. And if you don't know Adam, I would like to introduce you. He is the CEO of XYZ Game Labs. And I know no other man who is so thoroughly loves succulents. I just have to say that. And I know, right? It's like,
I love
bizarre.
A good succulent.
Continue. Because I look at him. So much so that he is soon to launch a Kickstarter where one of his designs, he's done several designs and published them, but this one is called Cultivate. And it is going to be one of 3 micro games. I know that Chris was talking about multi-game Kickstarters. 3 micro games that he is going to fund on Kickstarter early next year. Adam is a huge social advocate, team player, respected peer, and a close friend. And one of my favorite resources, because Adam's a really, really fantastic brainstormer and sounding board. And he's never afraid to tell me, let's see, I'm going to get this right, to put an idea solidly in the bad idea column for now, but not for always. Because I was talking to him, he's like, no, we're going to put that in the bad idea for a little bit, but it might not stay there. So just just chill. And you can find him serving on my recurring microgame panel as well. So, Adam, thank you. You are a
Thank you so much. Yes.
All right. So
looking at the comments, I'm sorry, Adam, but it was just such a non sequitur about the succulents. So I do apologize. That is now the talking point.
Hey, he says hi. He's hi.
I know.
Awesome. I love it. And man, it's been really, really nice seeing everybody. And I know Kyle said here mentoring is definitely a must. He's been talking to me a little bit and just barely scratching the surface, and he's learning a ton there. Learning by doing. This has just been a great way to learn more, and I'm really happy that we had everybody out. So
next week.
Next week, Julie. You tell me.
I'm so excited. We're going to do horror-themed gaming and polarizing audiences with it. Something I've been doing my whole career.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a couple people in our comments section who might also have the feels on this. But again, not talking about it now. You got to wait until next week. So, friends, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, please, and Pinterest. And links are all in the description box below.
Enjoy the rest of your Friday and your spiel if you're attending. And remember, next week, you're invited.